Hello, my loves, and welcome back to the Full Body Yes podcast. So today's episode is going to be a little bit different. You are going to get a sneak peek into my upcoming 40-day experience, God's favorite. So I will be sharing with you two of the prep materials that my students and my clients inside of the 40-day experience, God's favorite, receive a few days before the 40 days actually start, for them to have time to let that sink in, to be introduced into the different paths and choose which path works for them. So the way these 40 days work is, first of all, you choose one path out of 3 paths. Each one of them has the intention and the goal of opening your heart to its greatest capacity and rooting you in the frequency of love, which, if you are an avid listener of this podcast, you will know we have talked about how the frequency of love is the exact frequency that turns energy into matter, that turns whatever exists for you in potential that your soul wants, that you want, that the universe wants to give you, that energy being rooted into that energy and making sure they can flow smoothly. That is what can turn the potential into a physical manifestation. So, because we are different people and we are each unique in our own ways, I have channeled 3 paths, and my students will have the choice of choosing one out of 3 paths. There's the embodiment path, which is an audio-led practice. There is the devotion path, which is reading sacred poetry, the same text every single day. And there is the remembrance path, which is working through your emotional body and your subconscious mind. So you will hear in the first audio that I give you a sneak peek into, that I explain how we are rooting into the frequency of love. And I invite my students and my clients to choose one of 3 paths, which they will then need to stick to for the 40 days, because, as we have talked about in previous episodes, energy does not reset every day, it compounds. When we do the same practice, the same heart opening practice every day for 40 days, that is when the magic happens. And that is when, after 40 days, that becomes our baseline frequency. And truly, anything our soul wants to manifest for us comes so quickly. So this is what I talk about in the first audio that you will get a sneak peek into. And the second audio that you will get a sneak peek into is a breakdown of Kabbalah, of the process of creation, and how we can make sure that the frequency of love is free to flow from energy, from the health that we want, the money that we want, the success, the partner, whatever that is, how it can flow from existing around us as energy all the way into physical reality. So if you have been on the fence about God's favorite, this will give you a sneak peek and help you decide whether this is the right thing for you. But truly and genuinely, I can promise you that it is. Before you even attempt to manifest anything, you have to make sure that you are rooted in the frequency that creates manifestation, and that is the frequency of love. And therefore, I've also priced this program at only $88. Like, this is something that anyone can do, and I made sure of that, even though honestly it is worth probably 10 times that, if not more. I want to make sure that everyone has the resources and understanding of how to root into the frequency of love, how to upgrade their frequency, so that when you finish the 40 days, well, not only will miracles happen to you, like happen for you all the time throughout the 40 days, after that, the thing that you are wanting to manifest will come so much more easily, because you are rooted in the right frequency. Now, so many spiritual teachers and manifestation coaches always talk about raising your frequency, matching the frequency that you're broadcasting to the frequency of your desires. But I have yet to see spiritual teachers and coaches that actually teach how to do that. They talk about it in theory, but they rarely actually explain in practice how to do that. And this is what God's favorite does. This is what it is here for, and this is why I made sure to price it at only $88. I do not want only the few people around the world to actually know this work and know how it works and be able to manifest so easily. I want this to be available and accessible to everyone. So again, if you have been on the fence, or if you are curious about what God's favorite is, listen to these audios. If you are listening to this in real time, we are starting our 40 days on December 1st. I invite you to join us and start with us on the 1st of December, or if you are listening to this later, whether that is a few days later, a few months later, maybe a few years later, you can always grab it and start it at your own time. I do believe there is a lot of power to doing this at the same time as a lot of other people. That is when the energy of everyone opening their heart at the same time really compounds and creates beautiful miracles and beautiful things. But you can also do it on your own. However, again, if you are listening to this in real time, I highly, highly recommend and encourage you to start this with us on the 1st of December, 2025. So here they are, the two guiding audios/videos from the prep materials for God's favorite. This isn't everything. I have left out the guidance where I walk you through the different paths and how to do that. So if you want to really understand how to root into the frequency of love for 40 days and which one is the best one for you, which path is the best one for you, I highly recommend, again, joining God's favorite and doing this practice with us. But yeah, enjoy this, and I am looking forward to seeing you inside of God's favorite. Hello, my loves, and welcome to God's favorite. If you are listening to this or watching this right now, something very deep inside of you has already said yes. It is a full body, soul level, timeline altering yes to changing your baseline frequency and becoming the person that life naturally rearranges for. Now, the space that we're entering together over the next 40 days is not about doing more. It's not about pushing more. It's not about fixing anything. It's not about becoming someone or something else. It is simply about returning. It is returning to your heart, returning to the most natural frequency of love, and returning to this most natural, magnetic, creative frequency that exists in this world. The core of this program is not me teaching you or me giving you information. As much as I love to teach, as much as I do see myself as a natural teacher, this is not what we're doing in this program. The core of this program is frequency. And the most important commitment that you are making here is a daily, heart-opening love frequency practice for 40 days. Now, in addition to this daily practice, we will also have daily audio transmissions that are different every day. We will have reflection prompts. We will have a different intention every day. We will have different embodiment practices every day. And we will be following a Kabbalistic energetic flow that will be guiding you through different layers of clearing, opening, remembering, and calling in everything that life wants to give you. But I want to be very, very clear about something straight off the bat, and that is that if there are days where life is busy, when you are tired, where you don't have the time for everything, the non-negotiable is your daily heart-opening love frequency practice. As I said, this is the core of this work. Now, the reason for this is that energy does not reset every day. It compounds. It builds. With every day that you open your heart and root yourself in the frequency of love, you are not starting again from zero. You are building a new baseline, a new normal, a new frequency and identity. And then by around day 40, the frequency of love stops being something that you do, and it starts becoming who you are and what you naturally broadcast. And at that point, it no longer needs conscious activation like we'll be doing throughout these 40 days. It simply becomes your default operating system, if you will. Now, the reason we are focusing on the frequency of love is that love is the exact frequency that turns potential into matter, that turns anything that exists for you in potential that the universe wants to give you, but maybe it can't give it to you because you are blocked somewhere. The frequency of love, when we root into it and when we clear the energetic channels that it has to flow through from intention all the way to manifestation, and this is where the Kabbalistic flow of creation comes in, which we will talk about more soon. So this is that exact frequency that we must root into to turn anything that exists for us in potential as energy floating around us, to turn it into a physical manifestation in our reality. It is the bridge between the unseen and the seen, right? The unmanifested and the manifested, the idea and the reality. If you are here, I'm sure you know that creation, life creation, manifestation does not respond to force, it responds to coherence. And love is the highest coherence that exists. When your heart is open, and rooted in love and is coherent, your field becomes magnetic. You magnetize everything that the universe wants to give you. Your nervous system feels safe to receive more and more. Your intuition becomes clearer. Your body becomes receptive to things that are meant to come to you. Your timelines accelerate. You strip off layers of who you are not, of different programming that you received over the years, and you get closer and closer to your core self, to who you really are. And that is what your soul wants you to do. Once you become your core self, you get closer to who you really are and you strip off the layers of all of the external programming. That is when you clear the channels and you can really call in everything that you want and everything that you don't even know that you want or that you need, but the universe wants to gift to you. And then when you do all of that, when you open your heart and when you are rooted deeply, consistently to the frequency of love, reality begins to cooperate. Quote unquote miracles start happening for you on the daily. The universe starts giving you, as I said, everything that it has wanted to give you for so long, but it just wasn't able to because your channels were blocked. It will start giving you a lot of what you want, everything that your soul wants, and also things that you didn't even know that you want, but you so deserve and you're so worthy of, and they are needed for you to fulfill your fullest potential in this lifetime. The universe, God, source, whatever you want to call it, starts acting almost like a man who showers the woman that he adores with gifts and all the fine, beautiful things that exist because he just adores her so much and he wants to give, he wants to provide. So, as I said, this program is not manifesting through effort. I don't even call it a manifestation program because the first thing in manifestation is intention, is setting a very specific intention or goal. And there is a time and space for that. I do have a whole manifestation program as well. This program, however, is creation through alignment. It is about clearing your channels and not setting any specific intentions. There is a time to intentionally manifest, and there is a time to just let the universe surprise you, see what gifts it wants to give you, and see what kind of things just enter your reality when you are open and when you are receptive. And in my opinion, before attempting or intending to manifest anything, this program is a must to open your channel and to be rooted in the frequency of love, of devotion, to have your heart open. Because once that happens and that is your baseline, manifesting anything becomes so much easier because your frequency, which is the root of your reality, is already aligned. So this is definitely the perfect place to start wherever you are. Whether you are a seasoned manifester, but you find yourself getting stuck sometimes, or maybe some things manifest for you and others don't. And whether you are completely new to manifesting, to identity work, to frequency work, this is the perfect place to start because rooting in the frequency of love and heart coherence is literally something that every human on this earth needs to do as a priority. Literally, urgently, as soon as you can, do this. And this is why we're doing this over 40 days. And it is not necessarily going to be super easy. I am asking you to be devoted to a practice every single day for 40 days. But trust me when I say it will be worth it, because once you are rooted in the frequency of love and that is your baseline, everything becomes possible for you. And you will see it's not even after day 40 when things start happening for you. They will literally start happening for you in the first week of doing this. Now, as I said, we do have a different audio explaining how this whole creation process works with the Kabbalistic flow of creation. But now what we're focusing on in this guiding audio video is your specific heart opening love frequency practice. So to honor your uniqueness, we are all different. We all connect in different ways. I have created 3 different paths for your daily heart opening practice for you to choose one from. Okay, I am not expecting you to do all 3. You will become familiar with all 3 paths and you will choose the one that you want to take with you and that you want to stick to for 40 days. Now, I do want to emphasize that there is no better or more spiritual option. Like, no option works better or worse than others. They all work 100%, and this is why I am giving them to you. Only I want you to choose the one that really feels like a full body yes to you. So as you listen to the next 3 audios, each one will be breaking down one of the 3 options. I want you to allow your body and your intuition to answer, okay, which one feels most natural to you? Which one feels safe? Which one feels exciting? Which one feels familiar? Which one feels like home to you? This is going to be your soul speaking. So as we are preparing to start the 40 days, I want you to listen to the 3 guiding audios where I break down the 3 options. And I want you to choose which one you're going to be committing to for 40 days. Then you can drop the other 2. You never have to think about them again unless you do these 40 days again in the future and you want to change up. That's great. But whichever one you choose, you will be doing every single day the same thing for 40 days, okay? I want you to commit to the same path for the full 40 days because, as we said, energy compounds, energy builds. Changing paths in the middle of the 40 days will be breaking the energetic momentum that we are building. Okay, so we are choosing one path over 40 days. Do not overthink it. Whichever one feels right to you, feels most exciting, most comfortable, that is the one that you should go for. And if we are working one-on-one, if you are working one-on-one with me alongside this container, I will also tune into your field to reflect back to you which path your soul and your higher self are calling for most strongly. Now, a few more practical notes out of everything that this program includes, which, as we said, is the daily heart opening practice that you'll be choosing shortly. It is also including setting a daily intention, listening to the daily audio transmission from me that will be different every day, taking one aligned action every day. The heart opening practice that you are going to be choosing now is going to be the first that you do out of all of the practices every day. Okay, when I'm saying this, I do not mean that it is the first thing that you have to do every single day, like before brushing your teeth. What I'm saying is, when you sit down to do any of this, the work included in the program, the first thing, before you even read the intention or tune into the intention, the first thing that you do is the heart opening practice. And that is to make sure that it doesn't slip away. As I said, some days you won't be able to do everything, and that is fine. What is important for me is that you do this one, at least this one, every single day. Some days you might not be able to do the rest of the things, like the intention, the reflections, even listening to the audio transmission. While I do really recommend doing all of it to make sure that you're really going through the flow and you're clearing the channels, one non-negotiable is doing the daily heart opening practice every single day. If you can do anything else, make sure you do this one. I cannot emphasize this enough. Just from doing this for 40 days every single day, you will see massive transformations and massive results. So I want to make sure that this is the first thing that you do every day to make sure that it doesn't slip away. Now, I recommend setting a regular alarm on your phone for a regular time every single day when you know that you are mostly free for at least 10 minutes. So the practice will vary between like 7 to 15 minutes, depending on the practice that you choose. But I do not want you to pick time or like have time as like a consideration unless it's like you're really, really short on time. I don't want you to pick the shorter variation just because you don't want to spend much time. I really do want you to tune into what works the best for you and your soul. But I want you to set a regular alarm every single day and try and do the practice at around the same time every day. Okay, so let's say, you're usually free around 12 p.m. lunchtime. Set an alarm for 12 p.m. every day and make sure you are connecting to this practice, doing this practice every day around the same time. Now, if you can't, and sometimes you won't be able to, you're not robots, I at least want you to try and stick to doing it either during the day, so when the sun is out, or after sunset. Meaning, do not do it one day in the morning and then the next day late at night. Try to stick to a 24-hour cycle as much as you can, and try to sticking to either doing it during the day or doing it at night, but do not jump from one to the other. Now, as I said, this is the first thing we're going to be doing every day, not the first thing when you get out of bed. You can if you want to, but the first thing out of all the things that the program includes. And then only after you do the heart opening practice, the one out of the 3 options that you'll be choosing soon, only then can you do the rest, which is setting your daily intention, listening to the daily transmission, reflecting on the prompts you are receiving, and taking a daily embodied action. I know this sounds like a lot, but all of it is meant to be done in 20 minutes a day. So none of it is going to be too long. Do not worry. Now, another thing I want to emphasize before we move on to the 3 options and before I explain them and break them down is you do not have to do it all in one chunk every day. If you can, that is great. But if not, you can break it up. So you can do the practice at 10 a.m. and then return to the rest of the things a couple of hours later. That is fine. You can break it up. As I said, the most important thing is doing the daily practice around the same time every day. Okay, so now that we are finished with this, let me guide you through each one of our options. Okay, so now that we have talked about your 3 options and you have hopefully chosen a specific option or path for you to walk over the next 40 days, let's talk about the Kabbalistic flow of creation and our 40-day journey. Now, in this program, we are working with an ancient understanding of how creation actually moves from the unseen into the seen. Before we go any deeper, though, into the energetic flow of this process, it is important to understand what Kabbalah is and why this work is rooted in it. So Kabbalah is rooted in Jewish mysticism, and it is one of the most ancient spiritual wisdom systems in the world. Now, throughout history, it has been studied and explored by some of the greatest spiritual leaders, teachers, thinkers, and creatives, including figures such as Moses, Jesus, Mohammed, Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, and Carl Jung. Over time, many of the ideas that shaped modern spirituality, philosophy, and psychology have actually been influenced by Kabbalah, with it being one of the most ancient spiritual wisdoms to exist. It is even practiced and preached nowadays by Madonna. If you've heard of Kabbalah, you might have heard Madonna talk about it. She is probably the most connected figure, like present day figure to this wisdom. So in this context, I am not referring to Kabbalah as a religion. It is not a religion. It is a way of seeing creation, of understanding energetic and universal laws, and of creating your reality with less resistance and with more flow. So I am referring to it as a system for understanding energy, understanding consciousness, and understanding creation. It is essentially a map of how transformation happens internally before it becomes visible externally. Now, one of the main ways that Kabbalah teaches this is through numbers and the energetic meaning behind them. In Kabbalah, the number 40 represents a process of cleansing, of recalibration, and of transformation. It represents the period in which old identities and frequencies dissolve and new ones begin to form. And you can see this pattern reflected again and again across different cultures and different traditions. So in the flood narrative in the Bible, the rain lasted 40 days, which symbolizes a clearing before a new world emerged. Moses spent 40 days on Mount Sinai in deep spiritual preparation. The Israelites traveled for 40 years in the desert as an identity was dismantled and reshaped. In Christianity, Jesus fasted for 40 days before stepping into his purpose. In Islam, Muhammad spent 40 days in retreat before receiving revelation. In nature, it takes around 40 weeks for an entirely new human life to form, right? Pregnancy, a full-term pregnancy, lasts 40 weeks. So across all of these examples from different traditions, 40 represents the same thing. It is a turning point. It is a release of the old and the preparation for something new. Now, 40 days, therefore, the 40 days that we are doing here inside of this project, of this experience, are not random. They are aligned with a universal pattern of transformation across generations, across millennia, and across different traditions. Now, in Kabbalah and other wisdom traditions, including modern New Age manifestation, creation does not begin in the physical world. It begins in potential, in intention, in energy. What Kabbalah and all of those other wisdoms tell us is that everything that we desire and everything that our soul wants, that the universe wants to give us, exists for us literally as energy around us. Like, look around you, everything that you want, whether that is more money, a successful business, a life partner, more friends, better health, whatever it is, it literally exists all around you as potential, as energy. And then it moves down through different levels, different layers, and different channels, step by step, until it finally becomes physical reality. But that can only happen if all of these levels, all of these layers, all of these channels and steps are clear and open for the energy to flow. So if you imagine the energy as existing in potential right here, and sorry if you're hearing this motorcycle in the background, if you're imagining this energy existing here, how do we turn it from this unseen energy? How do we transform it into something physical, like better health, like more money, like a life partner, whatever that is? Well, it has to flow all the way to physical reality. And for it to flow smoothly through all of these stages, the stages have to be clear and they have to be open and receptive for the energy to flow through them. So you can think of it like a current of energy that wants to flow, but it can only do so when the channel is open, when it is clear, and when it is aligned. Now, in Kabbalah, there is a structure known as the tree of life, which is made up of 10 emanations. These are not physical places, they are states of consciousness. They are energy centers through which creation flows. You can imagine them as 10 different qualities or frequencies that move from the highest spiritual potential and dimension all the way down into physical manifestation. And if you are familiar with the chakras, with the 7 chakras, it's kind of the same idea. And a lot of modern spirituality is based on both of these. Human design, for example, if you are interested in human design is based both on the 7 chakras and on the tree of life, those 10 emanations. So if you think about the chakras, it starts all the way at the top of the head, the crown chakra, which is potential, and it ends at the root chakra, which is essentially the physical. So it is very, very similar. Now, the 10 emanations in Kabbalah represent the journey from pure possibility and energy to intention, to emotion, to identity, to form, to embodiment, and eventually to physical reality. They are the energetic blueprint of creation itself. And over the next 40 days, the guidance and daily practices inside of this program are aligned with the deeper movements of those energies and with those 10 steps and 10 emanations. Now, you do not need to know them. You do not need to remember them. You do not even need to intellectually understand them. I will be guiding you through them every single day in my audio transmission that you will receive from me. But just so you know, again, you do not need to understand them. You do not need to even remember them for this to work. You do not need to even know the names, okay? All you need to do is follow along with the flow that I'll be taking you through in these 40 days. Do the reflections, listen to the audio transmission, do the daily embodiment practice, which is usually going to be something very small, not more than like a minute, okay? And that will already move you through the flow without needing to necessarily name the stages. This is not what it is about. As I said, this is a program of frequency, not of me teaching you new concepts. The only reason I am telling you all of this is because I myself am a person who likes to understand logic behind how things work. So today, and these prep materials are really about just explaining to you what it is all about. But once we actually start the 40 days, this will be a lot more about embodiment and less about me teaching you things in accordance. The daily transmission will be around 3 to 5 minutes. I will try to not make them longer than that. And they will really be about guiding you through the energy and the aligned action of each day, not teaching you the theory. So don't worry about that. So again, without needing to intellectually understand each one, I will be guiding you through a process of clearing old blocks, dissolving old identities, healing trauma and emotional memories, opening your heart, reclaiming personal power and leadership, strengthening your intuition, aligning yourself with your soul purpose, and integrating love into daily embodiment. And as the inner channels clear, the outer world naturally responds. This is not because you are intentionally trying to manifest anything. As we said, this is not a program where we intentionally manifest. It is when the channel between potential and physical reality is finally able to flow, where energy can move without resistance, and then creation becomes natural. This is a Kabbalistic flow of creation, and it is essentially not you trying to manifest anything specific. It is you opening the channel, opening yourself up to receive everything that the universe wants to give you and that your soul wants for you. Now, this is important because you might think you want some things, but this might be your ego talking. And when I say ego, I don't necessarily mean you wanting to boast about it. I just mean it is your human self, the one that has been programmed to think that you want certain things or that you need certain things. Your soul, which is your true essence, who you truly are, which we're going to get closer and closer to as the 40 days progress. Your soul wants very specific things for you that might be different from what you think you want for yourself, but trust me and trust your soul that what it wants for you is the absolute best for you to live the most fulfilling life. And when you open the channel, that is when all of the things that your soul wants for you, that the universe wants for you, that is when they can come without you even knowing that you needed or wanted some of them. And that is why I like to call this program, or to say that it is essentially letting the universe surprise us, because you will see that throughout the 40 days, you will receive some things that you didn't even know you needed. Like if you were trying to intentionally manifest, you would not even think of intentionally manifesting them. But because you are open, you are letting the universe surprise you with the most beautiful things that you could never even think about. So over the next 40 days, we are not forcing anything to happen. We are doing something a lot more powerful, which is clearing and aligning the channels through which creation flows. So each day, through the guidance, the practices, the reflections, and your chosen heart opening path, you will be working with a different energetic layer within you. These layers include your beliefs, your emotions, your body, your identity, your memory, your nervous system, and your spiritual energetic field. When these layers are blocked, when they are fragmented, or when they are holding on to the past, energy cannot move freely into the physical world. But when they are open, coherent, and rooted in the frequency of love, the flow of creation becomes natural and almost effortless. And this is why your daily heart opening practice is so, so important. As we said, love is not only an emotion, it is the organizing force of creation itself. It is the frequency that harmonizes all parts of you into coherence. It is what makes energy flow from potential into form. And that is why we are rooting into that very specific frequency throughout these 40 days. And from that place of higher clarity, higher love, openness, and higher receptivities, you will see that life will start responding differently to you. So opportunities will arrive, people, clients, friends will start responding differently to you. Your choices and decisions and process of decision making change. Your energy shifts. The way you see life and yourself shifts for the better. Your reality will follow. So this is what we are tuning into over the next 40 days. I am so excited for you to start. Make sure to take your time. Make sure to choose the option and the path that truly works for you. And I will see you in day 1.